transplant process. Now, once the transplant has been done, we see that the hair actually grows for the first 2 weeks or so, a little few days here or there, and then the hair roots which are inside do not support the growth of the shaft. So the shaft falls off. It's the visible hair on top which starts to fall off generally between the period of 2 weeks to 6 weeks. So gradually there is going to be thinning in the recipient zone after a transplant, and the patients often come back and say hair is falling off while we are having a bath. This is perfectly normal. So in about 6 weeks or so, the person has returned back to their original state as it was before the transplant process itself. Now, about 2.5 to 3 months after a transplant is when the roots are strong enough to start generating the hair again. So somewhere around 3 months time, the patient starts to notice some amount of hair which is coming out of the scalp, and this hair process then continues for the next 6 months. So gradually hair will start coming out in the entire recipient zone, one area at a time. So it's not as if all the hair would come out after 3 months. So say 5% would come out after 3 months, another 10% the next week, something like that. So it's a very variegated kind of a pattern. The hair which comes out generally grows a centimeter a month. So from say 3 months to 9 months or 10 months is what it takes for a good result to show. This process is slow. It's a very patient process. Now patients often ask, why does hair fall? So it's like a shock loss phenomena for the hair. Just think of a situation that for example, I am settled in Delhi and we've got our work here, we're well established, and then somebody just tells me to move to New York and just start off on my own again. Now what would happen? I'd pack my bag, I'd go to New York, I'm stuck in an apartment, I don't know anything about the local trains, the food. So what do? Do I go and watch a movie? Do I indulge in luxury shopping? No. I will just look out for my bare necessities. So what would I do? I would make sure that I find a bus or a train to reach the office. I'd find a supermarket which would just supply enough food. So this would go on for some time, and then I've established my roots, and then I start kind of an expansive kind of a living. So that's what happens with the roots. So I've taken out the root from one end and I've implanted it, and suddenly find shock, like where am I? It's a new environment altogether. So then the basic function of a root is to generate its own blood supply again. The hair is actually a stress on the root. So it lets go of the hair. It says, you go, I need to survive first. So it goes into a shell, a hibernation sort of a phase, starts to gradually form its blood supply, all the processes which allow it to survive. And once it is established, it starts to regrow the hair again. So that is what happens. There's also a strange phenomena which occurs, which is the shock loss of existing hair post-transplant. So what happens is the grafts are basically parasites. They pull in blood for its survival. And some of the blood to the existing hair can decrease, particularly if transplant is done in between existing hair. So the hair which is originally there also starts to fall off, and they behave like transplanted hair. So they would then start growing around 2.5 to 3 months, and then over the next 6 to 7 months they'd reach their original state. This is also seen in the donor segment. Shock loss does occur there as well, sometimes post extraction or post the strip. The surrounding hair in the donor segment starts to thin out and fall off. So the patient actually comes with a bald patch and starts really getting worried. But we just need to be patient with these patients. This hair actually behaves like transplanted hair. So it's undergone a shock because of the stress of the surgery, and it takes 3 odd months for hair to start growing back. And in fact, many times the new hair in the donor segment is often white, and it's only in the next couple of months that the color starts to change to the natural color.